There was once a peculiar book that, upon its initial publication, garnered no interest. The author even had to self-publish it. But 20 years later, this book suddenly sold nearly 35 million copies, making a leap to become a top-selling book worldwide. The book I'm referring to is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, a renowned American entrepreneur, speaker, and author. The media has lauded this book as a starting point for achieving financial mastery. In the book, the poor dad is the author's biological father. Despite being a university professor with a stable income, he was burdened by debt his entire life. The rich dad is the father of Kiyosaki's friend, Mike. He entered the workforce early, before even graduating high school, yet managed to build a multi-billion-dollar financial empire and became Kiyosaki's idol. From the lives of these two fathers, Kiyosaki clearly saw the deep-seated reasons for the gap between rich and poor. Through engaging stories, he reveals the mysterious laws behind money. Kiyosaki writes in the book that the reason someone is poor isn't about how much money they can earn, but rather their thoughts and actions. If one doesn't grasp the basic logic of wealth, they will forever be stuck in a cycle of working for wages. Indeed, if we cannot escape the mindset of the poor, no matter how hard we try, we will remain poor. The endless rat race. At the beginning of the book, the author Kiyosaki recounts a fascinating childhood story. At the age of 9, he went to his rich dad's supermarket to work for 10 cents an hour. Unexpectedly, the rich dad refused his desired wage, saying, "If I give you the salary you want, you will be bound to this supermarket with that money. You will spend your whole life with just a small wage." This story closely mirrors most of us. We often get stuck in a fixed, vicious cycle. Wake up, go to work, get paid, pay bills, then wake up again, go to work again, and pay bills again. This work model is defined by Kiyosaki as an endless rat race. People are like rats in an iron cage, their feet pumping very fast, the cage rattling, but they wake up the next day still trapped inside. These people only see their salary, and they believe that as long as they earn a higher wage, they can buy more things and gain more happiness. In reality, however, they cannot see opportunities to become wealthy beyond their current job within this endless cyclical busyness. They even lack the awareness to seek change for themselves. Returning to Kiyosaki's temporary job at the supermarket, his rich dad not only didn't increase his pay, but even made him work for free. This forced Kiyosaki to find a breakthrough from his existing situation. The author returned to the supermarket with a burning motivation, observing and thinking. He then discovered that the comic books in the supermarket were not selling at all. They could only be sold to a recycling center as scrap. So, he decided to use all his savings to buy hundreds of these comic books and opened a reading room in his garage. From this formula, he earned a small profit by renting out the comics. How many of us in life are caught in this endless rat race, with many even trapped in this iron cage without realizing it? We gradually become so exhausted that we have no time to think, living like survival machines working for money. However, those who fixate solely on money often fail to earn it. Therefore, to open the iron cage, we must stop this kind of running, just as Kiyosaki did. You need to use your running time to think, to find a way to break this endless race. Blindly following a fixed mindset. In psychology, there's a concept called the social clock, which refers to the tasks society dictates one should accomplish by a certain age. This aligns with the poor dad's deeply ingrained belief, which he passed down to his son. Study hard, get into a prestigious university, find a good job, and then work until retirement. Kiyosaki grew up following that social clock, but gradually he increasingly felt he was wrong. He observed his peers. After graduation, they married, bought a house with a mortgage, and once they had children, they spent more and started opening credit cards. These people seemed to have houses and cars, leading stable lives, but in reality, they had little savings. Every day, they had to rack their brains, working extra jobs here and there to cover expenses that exceeded their limits. And if they unfortunately encountered a crisis, they would be utterly helpless as they would be unable to cope with such situations. At the same time, the author witnessed a friend, after being laid off, bringing his entire family old and young to the company to beg the employer for mercy. Even his own poor dad once suffered unemployment when an economic crisis hit and couldn't find a way to make a living. Therefore, the author followed his rich dad's advice. He abandoned the stable but crowd-following job and bid farewell to surviving on a single, fixed occupation. Kiyosaki broadened his approach to many fields: auditing, law. He also worked as a waiter, construction worker, salesperson, and interned at large companies, interested in market research. He then founded a real estate investment company and earned his first significant sum of money. The rich dad said that no matter what profession you choose, keep an open mind. What's more terrifying than solidifying your own mindset? In life, the most frightening thing is running nonstop on a single path, and what must be avoided most is living and working according to mob mentality. Therefore, only by breaking free from rigid thinking can we achieve wealth. Myopic thinking prevents us from seeing far ahead. In the book, Kiyosaki tells of a female journalist friend who once came to him, complaining that her articles were recognized by readers, but the book she wrote with all her heart and effort didn't sell at all. She felt undervalued and was stuck working for a newspaper with a meager writing fee, unable to achieve financial freedom. The author suggested she learn more about marketing and sales. Upon hearing this advice, she became annoyed. She admonished Kiyosaki not to confuse her with a salesperson and said she would never allow herself to do a simple job like sales. The two bid farewell on a rather unhappy note. Kiyosaki felt it was a great pity. If she could escape her narrow career view and master market operations, her income would certainly not be limited to small writing fees. The author also advises us to view our careers like a net and to deploy it holistically. Here, I'll use the author himself as an example. When he was a sailor, he studied international trade. When he joined the Marine Corps, he learned military command. During his time at Xerox, he mastered management skills. And while lecturing everywhere, he built his personal brand. Each step Kiyosaki took was like a chess piece on a career board. Every skill was a thread in the network leading to wealth and prosperity. Only by expanding and tightening, this net can wealth flow in like water. You know, family background, ability, and luck are all positive supporting factors in our money-making process. But if we maintain short-sighted, narrow, biased, and stubborn thinking, these will only hinder the flow of your wealth. Place your vision on the big picture. Develop your mindset into a holistic one to achieve prosperity. Lack of strategic thinking renders diligence useless. A renowned American economist once revealed a truly heartbreaking truth about society today. He believed that it's normal for the rich not to want change, but the most frightening thing is that the poor class of society also always desires stability and resists change. The book recounts that Kiyosaki had a friend who worked 3 jobs simultaneously to send his 4 children to school. He sought Kiyosaki's help, feeling he was on the verge of exhaustion and still couldn't save enough money for his children's university education. Kiyosaki suggested he quit his busy jobs, dedicate time to learning how to invest and make money by buying small apartments low and selling them high. And indeed, after this friend was willing to change, he became an investment expert, bid farewell to the difficult days of earning money through manual labor, and finally experienced the joy of making money with his mind. The author believes that money is a concept. If you want to earn more money, you must change your concept. Instead of telling people to quit their jobs to blindly make money, Kiyosaki advises us to use a freedom wealth mindset. Wealth cannot be achieved through mechanical labor, but through more learning, more thinking, and more practice. It's not that the poor don't work hard, they lack strategic thinking. They often believe that diligence and hard work will eventually pay off. They prefer to suffer and endure in their current position rather than accepting challenges in new fields. They would rather perform repetitive tasks than accept the challenge of new knowledge. As many have said, we build something by manually moving bricks around ourselves, but this inefficient, struggling diligence inadvertently creates a wall around you, blocking your own path. Truly capable people never bury themselves in work. They always seek innovation in experience and changes in mindset to achieve breakthroughs. As the rich dad said in the book, job stability isn't everything, continuous thinking is. Self-depleting thinking leads to a lack of ability to act. In the book, Kiyosaki tells an allegory about a chicken on a farm. While the other animals enjoyed basking in the sun, one chicken kept pacing in its coop, crying, "The sky is falling, the sky is falling." The author suggests that many of us are much like this chicken, living in panic and anxiety all day, thereby missing many opportunities. Once, he and a friend passed a gas station. Upon learning that oil prices had increased by 15%, the friend became agitated and anxious, analyzing why prices were rising. He worried that an economic crisis was imminent and the world was heading into chaos. Kiyosaki, on the other hand, also recognized the severity of the issue, but immediately bought 65% of the shares of a small oil company. 3 months later, when they passed the gas station again, Kiyosaki had made a profit from the increased stock price. Meanwhile, his friend's assets had halved simply because he was constantly submerged in anxiety, unable to focus on work, and his money evaporated. Self-depleting thinking is truly forbidden if one wants to become rich. We often fall into a state of panic over the smallest disruptions in the outside world. Before crises, we often become fearful and self-intimidate. Just like the author's poor dad, he was always afraid of failure, afraid of loss, and in the end, he only knew how to complain. I can't. In contrast, the rich dad didn't overthink. He acted immediately to achieve his goals. Former ABB Chairman Percy Barnevik famously stated that 5% of success lies in strategy, and 95% lies in execution. God will not give you what you want. Only what you do will bring you corresponding rewards. You need to remember that thinking is just a problem. Taking action is what provides the answer. The paradox of burning wood. In the book, the author mentions a paradox, the paradox of burning wood. Sitting alone on a cold night with a pile of firewood in hand, a man shouted at a large fireplace, "When you warm me, then I'll add more wood." As we all know, only when he is willing to add wood first will the fire burn and warm him. In reality, many people fall into this paradox of burning wood. They want to be rich but only think, "What do I want?" without much thought for what do others want. In the book, both the poor dad and the rich dad were kind people, but they had a significant difference. The poor dad prioritized himself and would help others only when he had a surplus, while the rich dad prioritized others and always believed in the win-win rule that if you want to get something, you must give first. Even when the rich dad didn't earn much profit, he still contributed money to charities on time. Even if he incurred losses, he still considered his partner's benefits first. Over time, the rich dad became increasingly respected, his relationships expanded, and his career grew larger. Meanwhile, the poor dad's path became narrower and narrower. After losing his job, he couldn't find anyone to help him. Unfortunately, in reality, many people are like the poor dad. When it comes to benefits, they always put themselves first. When collaborating with anyone, they always think of how to maximize their own interests first. If we lack altruistic and giving thinking and always live in the paradox of burning wood, we might earn a little money our whole lives, but we will never touch true wealth. Becoming rich is like being human. It's a process of giving first and receiving later. These are the 6 insights I have gathered from this book. In fact, Rich Dad Poor Dad once subjected Kiyosaki to many accusations and criticisms because the author mercilessly exposed the true nature of the poor. But time is the fairest judge. Over the past 20 years, this book has proven that much effort combined with a poor mindset is the root cause preventing us from becoming wealthy and prosperous. And many people have become rich dads thanks to this very book, which is why Kiyosaki's financial wisdom is more recognized and appreciated. After reading this book, you must understand that the true purpose of Rich Dad Poor Dad is to awaken us not to work for money. True wealth is never money, it is our minds. The best investment is not the market, but ourselves. In our careers, in life, moving from poor to rich can only be achieved through the improvement of our mindset and awareness. Finally, I hope you can use the powerful weapon of mindset as leverage to change your own life.